All right, welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching Morning Cafe. Now, State of the Nation aside, we want to talk matters Biashara Tuesday. And today we want to focus on setting financial goals for the year 2025. Oh, it's just, it's still on the second Tuesday of the year. So I know that's why maybe my mind is still recording 2024. But to help me talk about this topic today is Kahoro Ngotho, who is a financial planning expert. And we want to talk more about best money practices in 2025. So remember to send in your feedback on our social media platforms at TV47 Kenya on Facebook and YouTube. On X, we are at TV47 News KE. And the question of the day today is, what should we do differently in 2025 in terms of setting financial goals? Kahoro, karibu sana. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too as well.
How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. Yes.
All right, so right into the question of the day today. Yes. You know, this is a topic that we talk about every year in, every start of the year we say setting financial goals for the year, you know. So what should we do differently in 2025?
All right. So thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure coming to the home of Untold Stories. My name is Kahoro Ngotho. I'm a financial planning expert, having dealt with business people, employed people, both in terms of public and private, in terms of advising them on how best they can use their resources. So I'm also a managing partner at Wega Insurance Agencies. So for the question of the day, what should we do differently? And when we set the date for today in terms of discussing the issues of money, something that has been challenging me is every year we have bold resolutions set. Yes. But again, what happens along the way? By February, March, we go back to default. So I think going forward, we should see how best we can be able to sustain, savings culture and all that. So when we come to how should we do things differently, even before that happens, I was asking what could be the problem? Yes. Why do we drop along the way? And what happens is when we are setting our goals, our financing goals, I realize it's very important to first do an audit of yourself. There are things that are weighing you down, you have setbacks in terms of finance, you have habits that maybe you need to drop. So again, if you are not really true to yourself in terms of some of these spending habits that affects your savings, then you'll go back to where you are. And maybe I can point out in terms of, it's good you look at your incomes. What are different income streams? If you're employed, I know there is a pay slip. I know people in employed, you'll find that there are bonuses here and there. If you're in business, you're making profit every month, every week, every day. And also for the creative economy, you have these young people, maybe who one time gets a gig and earns like 500,000. Maybe the next minute that income is not there. So how can you be able to sustain all that? So once you're able to identify all your incomes, then check on expenses. Yeah, track every expense that every coin that goes to that aspect. Then there is something that also weighs people down in terms of debts. People have debts from Fuliza to mobile loans and to all that. So once you do that, then now check on the habits, the spending habits in terms of are you that person who blows out your money once that salary hits in. So how well can you be able to organize such that your income can sustain you throughout the month? I always say it's unfortunate that you work for 30 days, then that salary hits in, then in the next 5 days, 3 days, that salary is no more. So what will happen for the next remaining days? So and what happens is, it's good we talk about money. Looking at even at the society, we are avoiding this topic. Anytime you hear about money, it is for some people. And that's why you find that, like last year, there was a very sad incident where people were duped. Yeah? Even people who have degrees and masters and all that. Somebody just comes in an outfit of a savings and she promises you a lot of money. You put your money there. In no time, that money is gone. You go back even to bigger hole than before. So I think once you're able to check all that, then now you are ready for savings. And what happens is, what now should we do different in terms of savings is something I'm really encouraging people is tie your savings to a goal. Right? So what happens is, like myself, I need to go back to school. I need to do my master's or my PhD. So that's a goal that I need to attach. So anytime I'm putting a coin aside, I know that will help me in terms of getting back to school. And remember, when you add more knowledge, more income comes in. So again, if you want to buy an asset, I always talk of, because this creative, these young people, sometimes they feel left out. So if you're in photography, maybe you want to buy a new camera so that you can match up with the industry standards. So there are a lot of, anytime, that goal that you want to tie it to that same, so that every morning I remember, oh, I have... the generation right now, sometimes somebody wants to tie their savings to sherehe. Yes.
Is that part of a good saving plan, really?
Now, what happens is, I know we have the YOLO, you only live once and all that.
Yes.
And there's this other saying that if your money cannot be able to do whatever, you eat your money.
You eat your money. And now they say, Tawa is in Jenga's mansion. Eat
now,
it.
What happens is, and I was thinking of that statement today, but what happens, if you imagine, you say 1,000 cannot buy a cement today. Tomorrow you get another 1,000, you say the same thing. So you can imagine, you say that all day. But you might think it's just 1,000, but cumulatively it's a lot of money. Yeah, that's kidogo money. That's what you need to tie to a goal. And I always say, saving should not be painful. Yeah? And that's why, again, people drop along the way. Because I will see what your plan is. You're saving like 5,000 every month. But again, you have done your audit and you know how your expenses are and all that. So I say it's the financial journey or savings goal is so personal. You are the one who knows where the shoes or how it fits well. So even if it is that 500, I know that you can comfortably. Because again, it's so sad. You set aside 5K there, then the next week you are borrowing money from all of us. No, so it's that fraction that you can do without, and your life move it should. Yes.
You've also mentioned something about our spending habits.
Absolutely.
We are impulse buyers. Now, when we're tracking our spending habits in this, as we set also these financial goals, how do we also balance not being overwhelmed with our tracking, even because impulse buying is there? Kuna wale ambao ni chronic impulse buyer.
Sure.
Let me speak for myself. Yeah. I'm an impulse buyer. So how do I prevent being overwhelmed?
All right.
Yes.
So what happens is, for any habit, I cannot just wake up and say, it's a stop.
Yes.
So what I usually advise is, if you are that, spending thrift, and you can reduce slowly, yeah? Like this month, you try to maybe, in terms of items, maybe you buy a whole lot of items, you can decide today, I'll do a maximum of maybe 3 items. So you go slowly by, but you cannot just wake up and say, no, I will stop, because this is something that you have been doing for a long time. So you need just to put a limit as you go by until now that habit it stops. Yes.
So we also have debt and savings. Somebody's in debt, but they also want to just save this small amount of money that they're getting. How do they strike that balance?
Now, thank you so much for that question. What happens, debt is is in so many ways. And what I usually say is, there are people, for example, you have some people have gone to the Shylock and taken that money. I cannot advise you to save, because you have a high interest debt, right? So most of these people, the interest is almost 20% or even 30% per month. So where now I'm telling you maybe to open an account and maybe earn an average of 12% per year. you get that. So I think depending on the nature of debt, you can now decide whether to put some money or to concentrate first with creating those high interest earning debts. Then maybe if it's just a debt that the interest is just a fair, you can be able to strike a balance. But those debts that are high, have high interest, you really need to focus on them and manage as you go by. Yes.
Interesting. I want us to also talk about budgeting.
Absolutely.
Now, budgeting can be intimidating sometimes. Yeah. And now for somebody also who is new to money, for example, and I do not mean that maybe they're getting the salary for the very first time, or they're new to savings, how do they start?
What happens, budgeting, even from the days of high school and all that, it seems something so big. And budgeting is very simple. This is where you check, as I had said, all your incomes. Maybe if you're employed, there is that pay slip. You have your expenses, you have rent, you have transport, you have food and all that. Then from the expenses, then you have now the aspect of savings. And there's the rule that is commonly used, the 50-30-20 rule, where 50% goes to your expenses, 30% goes to your secondary needs or wants. And then for the 20%, this is where now you're able to, if you have a debt, you're able to pay on that 20%. If you are saving, is where you are able to put it in that. So it's not big. And I always say, you might not be able to track every coin, but at least have an idea where your income is going. Yes.
Is there hope for someone? Let's work with a net salary of, let's say, 30,000 Kenyan shillings. When budgeting, how do they go about it so that they can also save and set their financial goals for 2025?
Now, if you're earning 30,000 shillings, the biggest hindrance is sometimes living beyond our means. You find that I want to stay in a certain estate, I want to dress in a certain way with that, that income. And what I always say is, one, you have to really sit down and look at how will you be able to spend these 30,000. And one thing is, we always say that at least 15%, should not more than 15% in terms of rent, in terms of where do you buy your items, how do you, in terms of sometimes, even sometimes living proximity to where you work, you will be able to reduce on your transport. So I cannot say the exact way, but at least even with that 30,000, you can be able to live comfortably. Because you might want to live flashily, but at the end of the day, it is you with your problems. So what happens is, what is on top of, because if you live beyond your means, that other part will be financed by debts, will be financed by maybe borrowing from friends and all that. And it is not sustainable. Yes. So
what are the best ways to stick to financial goals throughout the year?
All right. One, I'll split it in two ways. If you're in business, whether small, big, and all that. And one thing I always tell business people, it's good to pay yourself. Because you realize that you're opening your shop, maybe early from 6, closing at 8. Yeah? So how much have you been able to make for the day, right? So out of that, if for the profit, you're just taking a portion and setting aside, paying for, paying yourself. So there are other people who might decide to pay them on a weekly basis or even a monthly basis, where now you sit down, this is how much I've been able to make, take a fraction, even if it is 10%. So this is an income that moves away from your business and becomes part of, so that you can, do your needs, and so do investment and all that. So if you're employed, you can approach maybe your HR and ask him maybe 2,000 every month. Let it go to maybe a SACCO account, a fixed deposit account, a money market fund account. So because what happens is, once the salary kicks in, within no time, you have no track of where the money is. So you always say, I call it deduction at source. Anytime there's such an standing order or an instruction, so what is left is what is available for use. So I think that's a way you can be able to, have consistency. The other thing is you can have a partner. Somebody who will be able to check on you, somebody whom you share common values and all that. So we can have a meeting and say, Kahoro, I want us to maybe by the end of the year to have accumulated even if it is 50,000. So this is how to go about. So this person, you'll be checking on each other. How are you able to, how is the progress? And then again, anytime you tie your savings to a goal, it keeps you awake every time, right? So a goal is something that you aspire, is a dream. So anytime I know that I have to go back to school, I am reminded that I have to put something, set aside for that purpose. But anytime you just save for the sake of it, even if you don't save in one day or in 1 month, it will not
be tempted to take it.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing now, lastly, is where are we saving this money? Sometimes somebody will open an M-Shwari account, start saving there. Maybe Friday kifika, sherehe, nakumbuka there is some money there. So what happens is it's also good to, whichever vehicle you choose, somewhere you have no access or limited access, and you have all these investment schemes that you can choose from. Yes.
You've mentioned something quite interesting. Where are we saving these monies? Absolutely. So where do we save these monies? Come on.
All right. Now we have a whole buffet of investment vehicles, and one I'll start with the very simple, a SACCO account, and SACCOs are many. You find that SACCO, we have different SACCOs for different types of profession. Maybe for accountants, we have a certain SACCO for that. For police, you have a certain SACCO for that. Yeah. So depending on where you are, you identify yourself with the SACCO. But I always say again, it's also good to check on the SACCO that you are saving or any investment vehicle, because many are the times that our money has been going down the drain. We have lost so much money due to maybe us maybe not checking where we are putting our money. So SACCO is very simple. You have a standing order every month. A certain amount goes to your savings. From SACCO, you have money market fund, and all these insurance firms, they have a money market vehicle where interest ranges from 10 to I can say an average of 18%.
That is for money market fund.
Yeah, money market fund. So for money market fund, I say it's like a basket where somebody with 500 shillings, somebody with 1 million, somebody with all that. That money is put together. Once it is put together, then the experts are able to now invest that money, because it's a lot. So they are able to invest in different schemes. So the beauty with the money market fund is you will never lose your money. So every month, there's that interest coming in. We have fixed deposit in terms of banks. We have treasury bills. We have Nairobi Stock Exchange, for the long term now. Again, for different vehicles, it depends also your goal. Like now, going back to school, that's a short term. I need to save maybe in a money market. I need to save it in a SACCO. Right? If I need a home, I will choose a long-term investment schemes that will cater for that. So again, the longer the period, the higher the returns.
Amazing.
Yes.
So pay yourself. You've mentioned this. Is it only for people in business, or since you are salaried, we can also be paying ourselves?
Now, for the salaried people, it is critical to pay yourself, and that's where now you add value, right? So, and what I always say, like now that example I've said of going back to school, anytime you add to your knowledge, I'm sure your HR, anytime you present that paper, maybe you'll find that you have moved from one level to the other. And I always say, you are the one person who is waking up early morning, beating traffic jam, kelele from the boss and all that. So there is no reason why you should not pay yourself. And at least 10% of that income should just put it away, so for future needs, for even personal development. And I've been telling also people, do you know even going back to school is an investment? Yeah, you don't have to just buy a plot there, do this or that. Even going back to school is an investment, because anytime that you add that knowledge, you'll come out better, and you'll add another level. Yeah, sure.
So financial planning varies from different demographics.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So what's your advice for a young professional just starting out, right? We also have a parent juggling family expenses, and we have someone who is nearing their retirement.
So what happens is, one other reason why you find that the year is, miaka imesonga sana, you freeze, you don't know where to start and everything. So for a young person, you're starting your career, I would advise you saving long-term plans. We have vehicles we call endowment plans, which are catered for insurance. We have life policy covers where you take maybe 10, 15 years, and it comes with all these benefits, where it have even the life aspect to it. Yeah, you also safeguarded as you person contributing in case something happens. The insurance will be able to cater for that. So for somebody who is juggling with expenses and all that, what happens is, this is where now, the reality hits in. You have a school fees to pay, you have a rent to pay, you have a loan, you have a family, you have members of dependents waiting at you from home. They even know when you are paid, and the phone starts ringing. So for that person, this is where now you are able to, to cut down. You're able to cut down because you cannot afford your kids to be at home, and they know that Baba wakes up every morning with a tie and a suit. So what happens is, this is where now you sit critically as a family. This is what is there. How can you be able to budget to cater for the needs and also be able to save? So what happens is, for this person, what I always say is that one, you have to look at where you can benefit more. I always give a case, like my personal case. I have kids in school, and what I have been able to do, when people wonder, how do you manage? 3 kids in school, and it's not, it's a fair good school. So one thing I did, I moved closer to the school. So this way, I was able to reduce the transport cost. And if you look at the fee structure, transport eats away a bigger percentage of the school fees.
Okay.
The other thing is, in terms of food. Yeah. So in this case, my kids, they are prepared food at home. It is taken at lunchtime fresh, and because it's no difference. That person will eat at that kid will eat at school. That kid who has been brought food, it's all the same. And with that, I've been able. My kids have been able to cut my school fees at 30%. So this way, you're able to put that money elsewhere, maybe into saves, settling debts, and all that. Yes.
All right. I think my director wants me to take a break at this particular point. So remember, we are talking about setting financial goals for the year 2025, and that is the conversation we're having. The question of the day was, what are we doing differently in 2025? So we're taking a very short break at this point. Stay with us. Kamotho Ngotho is still in studio with us for this interesting conversation.
This December, learn about safety precautions to take into consideration this season.
If you can remember, if you drive on a motorcycle often, to make sure that you have a helmet, it's key to decreasing the severity of the accidents.
We are passed in a bus from Kakamega to Mombasa. In between, just stand up, stretch your legs, and even when you are seated, keep pumping your feet, keep moving your feet to avoid that long stasis of blood in the veins.
Healthier options for you to maintain a balanced lifestyle amid the holiday hustle.
Eating healthy really doesn't mean that you have to deprive yourself, but we really just have to factor on how to strike a balance. Portion control and moderation are very key. Let us enjoy the season, and at the same time, let us try to watch our health and our well-being.
Happy holidays!
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching Morning Cafe. And before we went on that very short break, my question was, what advice did Kamothongo, who is our financial expert in studio tonight, have for young professionals who are just starting out in this savings, right? And he mentioned that for a young professional, what you have to do is invest long term.
Absolutely.
And for a parent who is juggling with family, what you have to do is to monitor where each bill goes. But what you didn't touch on is for someone nearing retirement.
All right. So for somebody, time is coming to a close. So what happens is, you don't have really much energy. So for that person, something you need to do is to scale down, because you have no time. So scale down in almost everything, expenses and all that. So you just reserve for what is really necessary. So this is where now, if you are nearing retirement, you had some investments that you had done, and what happens is, for example, you had several parcels of land. This is a moment maybe you can decide to liquidate, because you have no energy even to develop and all that. But I think the point is, you now reserve as much income as possible for now to cater for you for that post-retirement. Yes.
You know, my director is telling me I said tonight, and this is hizo inaitwaje effects of coming to work kama kuna giza, So I also want us to talk about now when setting financial goals. Is it late? When I say I'm starting later on in the year, is that a later time to start it, or I can just start any moment when setting my financial goals?
What happens is, this journey, you can start it anywhere, anytime, with this, as little as can. And currently, we have investment vehicles that are accepting even as little as 100 bob. So what you don't have to wait for a certain time. You don't have to wait for the HR to announce a salary increment. You don't have to wait for that bonus. You can start with as little as you have. And then, what happens is, in terms of this saving journey, the difficult aspect is the culture, how sustaining it. So starting with as little, starting with that kidogo amount, once you be able to build that momentum, in fact, it's very addictive. If you ask those those savers who have saved over time, they never go a day or a month or a week without putting that money aside, because they know the benefits that it comes in. And then also the peace of mind. I'm sitting here knowing that maybe I have 100,000 in a money market fund. It's not a loan, it's not anything. In case of anything, I'll be able to have that money and be able to sort my needs.
Yes. Sometimes when you're setting these financial goals, maybe we go overboard. Labda we were working with 30,000 Kenyan shillings, and with this money, I'm thinking of getting a car with it, I'm thinking of buying a house. So How should we really look at what matters when we're now setting these financial goals and reasonable as well?
Absolutely. I had mentioned of sometimes we live beyond our means. I come to your place, I see a 64-inch TV and I want to have it by next month. So I think what happens is first you have to understand where do you want to do. Again, it starts with mentor, that having that picture of where you want to be, maybe in the next 5 years, and I always say each one's journey is different. My journey is different from yours, so you are able to have this investment according to your journey. The other thing is priorities. I'm earning 30,000. Sometimes you look at being realistic. We always say a goal should be smart. So I wouldn't, maybe you look at going to school, having a car, buying a land, looking at, in terms of priority, what should be able to come first. And right now, I would say, I better first go back to school. That should be the utmost priority. Then once you are able to do that, you have, your level has gone up, you can also now think of maybe a car, from a car you go to. So I think it's how well you're able to plan your goals in order of priority. Maybe right now, having a home for a young person might not be the urgent goal or dream, because there is you have a whole life ahead. And I always say sometimes, for now, this young person, your work should be accumulate. Accumulate as much as you can. When you go to around 40s, now you are now thinking about having a home, building now your assets and all that.
You've mentioned something about work accumulating.
Absolutely.
And it has reminded me about something that I was to ask. It's about people working an 8 to 5, but they're looking into having other side hustles or other channels of income. Is it possible for someone working an 8 to 5 to have other channels of income, and what do you advise?
Thank you so much for that. What happens is, and if you look around, a lot of people have burned their fingers trying to have a side hustle. But again, it also depends with the setup that you are in. Maybe if you're a young person, maybe you have a spouse who can be able to stand in for you, that's a plus. But many a times you set up maybe at a salon or a kinyozi and you have employees there. And what happens is you don't, at the end of the day, they run down the business. And that is affecting people so much. Or maybe you decide maybe to buy a matatu. And maybe while in the midst of a meeting, you are called that your matatu has been named by the traffic police. So I think this one depends, but as it is currently, it is proving to be hard, looking at even the environment, in terms of setting up a business. So for an employed person, I think passive income is better. This is where your money works for you, even while you are asleep. And, on all those platforms that I've mentioned, Nairobi Stock Exchange, money market, and all that. But if you have a very good environment, then there are people who are thriving on their side hustles. There are people who are doing badly. You take a loan, set up a business, within 6 months it has been run down by the people you have entrusted. So I think it varies, but what happens is look at the long term. How will this business be able to sustain for the longest? You are not just putting this business to be mentioned that you have a side hustle. How long can this side hustle last? And what are the structures you have put in place? Maybe do you have systems? Do you have CCTVs and all that? Yes.
So tell us how to set up emergency funds, because conversations around money, budgeting, savings, we hear more about you must or you have to set emergency funds. So maybe you can tell us about that as well.
So for emergency fund, there is a rule that you should set, like if you're employed, you should have like 6 months accumulated in an emergency fund. It's just in case where maybe your employer decides to, we no longer need your services. How well can you be able to sustain yourself? And it goes back to the basics. You have this income where your 50% goes to this, 30% goes to your wants, and 20% goes to your savings. So once you build momentum, and again, what happens is, for you put into an emergency fund, this fund or this account, it is earning interest. So as much as you are saving this amount, you also have a benefit of interest on top of it. Yes.
All right, now let's talk about people whose expenses. Now, we talked about people whose expenses, of course, are higher than what they're earning, of course.
Yeah.
And we also want to see how these people can pay themselves, because lazima pia waishi vizuri, and we were working 30,000 Kenyan shillings. Maybe you can take us through that. How somebody earning this amount of money can also pay themselves, and also just as much as they try also to live within their means.
Sure.
And you mentioned also living closer to the places of work, and to Seme, for example, here, our headquarters are in Muthaiga.
Yeah, sure.
When somebody wants to move closer here, houses here, how they are. So what is a realistic way of somebody maybe earning 30,000, which we are using as a benchmark here, can now just live comfortably as well, and also just save and enjoy life?
All right. So there's another aspect you might look at it. Sometimes we stick our mind to that, just 30,000. But we never ask ourselves, can I be able to get an extra income out of the 30,000? And looking at the age you are in, the digital space and all that, there are people who are into 8 to 5 job, but they have different income streams, side hustle. Maybe during the weekend they have a gig. Somebody is a DJ somewhere. Your weekend you earn your 10, 20,000. So as much as we are sticking on this 30,000, let's broaden ourselves mind in terms of can I earn more than this? So it does not mean that now you just have to the OEM mentality and say this is just the only thing. Can you look around? What can you do extra that can earn you an income? And so through that, you can be able to save some money, live comfortably. But again, if you just have this 30,000, you have only to work with what is available as you look at how to grow your income streams. Yes.
Again, life is unpredictable.
Absolutely.
Kamotho. So how do we prepare ourselves for financial surprises?
Absolutely. That's where now I come in terms of insurance. I know, looking at our country currently, the insurance penetration dropped. It's still at a single digit. So what happens is insurance comes in to play. And what happens, I look insurance in broad. One, if you are running a business, a fire has struck in your business and everything has come to us. If you had an insurance, the insurance is able to bring you back to the status that you are in. If you are a farmer and you have dailies, have you insured those cows? Just in case of death, the insurance takes you back to where you are. So for somebody who has in employment, we have a lot of products that even caters for retrenchment and loss of jobs. So again, you can have such a product for that. So we also have our beneficiaries. Now time to time you receive a call from home. My mom is not feeling good, my dad is this and this. And there was last year I was having a forum in terms of investment ways and all that. And I asked in the room, has anyone taken, that time it was NHIF, who has taken a cover for your dependent? You are that uncle, that parent that who depends on you. Have you taken a cover? Because that time it was 500 shillings. And the room kept silent. So what happens is we have also to look at what are these I call them hindrances along the way that might destabilize you. Because anytime you feel that your mom is sick, what you have saved so hard, you'll have to go to maybe to money market, take that money and be able to fund that. So insurance will be able to offer that. And then you also have other solutions, even as much as in terms of the culture, people feel it uneasy, but I call the last respect. This is where now you take an insurance for your family, you know, your parents and all that. In case that incident happens, you know, you will not go deeper into your pockets or even negative, trying to fund some of these things. Even as simple as a health insurance. Yeah. And we have a lot of solutions where you can even pay kidogo kidogo. You don't have to pay all the money. You can. We have insurance funds where you are paying small as you use. Yeah? So insurance comes into play in terms of ensuring that you don't dig deeper, you don't sell that asset that you have worked hard for to cater for those needs. Yes.
You know, I was having a conversation one time on the streets, and I asked the question if people have life insurance, and I had a very great comment there. Okay, surprising, not really great. Aliniambia, kila mtu anaogopa kukufa, mbona nichukue life insurance?
Absolutely.
So as much as you're saying that people should get these insurance, health insurance, life insurance for their families,
Sure.
how do you as insurers now come in place to ensure that easy wakichukua hizi vitu, they're not intending on harming this other person, or you don't come into play in such aspects?
No, what happens is like if I take a life cover, I will not go all over saying that I have this more than
For
one.
you who are giving them this life cover for their families,
Sure.
how are you ensuring that they're not going to put the life of the other person at risk? Ndio wakule hii, whatever they're getting from this life insurance.
No, what happens is as insurance, what happens is we offer education. Before you take that package, we have a lot engagement in terms of these are the do's, these are the don'ts, and all that. Again, now we have the next of kin or the beneficiaries, and what happens is you cannot just go announcing that you have this cover or you have taken a package, and just have this is where now even a will comes into play, where you are able to register all your assets and deposit maybe to a lawyer to avoid such scenarios. Yes.
So investments as a way to prepare for uncertainties. We're talking about how to just get ready for financial surprises because life is unpredictable.
Absolutely.
Should everyone invest?
Should everyone invest?
Yeah.
Yes. What happens is, looking at 5 years back, COVID really taught us great lessons. Whether you are in business, whether you do your employment, whether you are, all people in different levels were affected. And looking at if you had some funds set aside, you didn't struggle so much as compared to somebody who had no any investment at play. So investment is so critical at different levels because everyone have a goal, what you want to be, want to acquire, and which level you want to be at a particular time. Yeah.
Of course, time is also running out, Kamotho, but I want us to talk about tracking. How do I track where my money is going, even as I am saving, I'm budgeting? What do I use to track my expenses?
All right. So I'll say this. One, you can just a simple budget where you have now your incomes, these are expenses, these are the debts, and all that, and you're able to set aside, you're able to push on it, just like a pie chart. Then again, we have apps. Looking at Google Store, you have so different apps talking about, budgeting, where you're able to, any expense, you're able to put it there. And maybe at the end of the week, you can be able to know how much you have been able to use. And I was assisting one of my clients, and we were looking at, how we were tracking the expenses. And one thing that we saw it as a huge cost was airtime. Yeah, you find that this person uses more than 8,000 a month. Yeah, in terms of buying airtime now and then. So this is where Safaricom has different packages. Yeah, somebody who has no knowledge of that. So you might decide to take a 3,000 package which has minutes, which has bundles and messages. So simple thing is airtime. You might find that it is eating away your income. Again, looking at different habits in terms of restaurants, costs, and all that. You find that if there are some people, it's really a necessity. Maybe to be in a restaurant, maybe brokering a deal or anything. But maybe if your work does not revolve around being in these joints, I think you can be able to scale down. So a tracker informs us. At least gives us an idea where our money is going, and you're able now to strategize on how either to scale up or down. Yes.
Before you tell us what to do now, even as we continue to set our goals for the year 2025, what are these mistakes that we make when setting these financial goals so that we can leave them behind in 2024?
Some of these mistakes is, I want to. I want by June to have this and that.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to get that rich quickly mentality. So the other thing is the vehicle. Yeah? Someone will come and tell you, oh, let's move to Forex, let's move to Bitcoins and all that. They are not bad. But again, as a country, we don't have maybe structures in place. A lot of people have lost a lot of money. Yeah? You find that some of these schemes, what happens as they start, the returns are very sweet. The returns are big. But again, how sustainable can that be? Yeah? You find that, Kahoro, here there is a scheme that you can invest. You put your money there. For those starters, those people who start with those schemes, they somehow, some way, they are able to earn. But what happens, other people that come on board, you end up losing your money. So the other thing is, like now, we have the betting menace, and it's really a headache to us young people. You find that, and it usually have a cautionary. Betting is addictive and all that, and everything. So we find that a lot of people are betting and serious money. So and that's a problem. That's a challenge that we have to address. So betting is key. The other thing is now in terms of the YOLO mentality. Yeah? You only live once. I always call it also where you just spend your money because you don't want to think about tomorrow. But what happens is, it's a reality. We have started the year. It will end. We'll begin another one. So the much you come into terms with this, the better it is. So the other thing is, it's good to have a basic understanding of finances or investment. So just have an idea. Know what money market is, know what insurance is, know what a life, some of these life policies, what do they entail and everything. So once you have that idea, then now you get experts like us who will be able now to go deeper into it. Yeah? If it is budgeting, just have a basic idea of, I should put this, I should put this. So that way, you are able to, because again, we have a lot of gullible, schemers in terms of where our hard-earned money is lost in such schemes. But you having an idea, you will be able to do this. I know this I cannot be able to go. Yes.
All right. So of course, as we wind up, and you're very right there. The YOLO whatever is taking us chini kabisa, inatumaliza kabisa. So as we wind up, maybe you could give us an advice even as we set our financial goals for this year.
Sure. So what happens is, my advice is, looking at the economy, people are complaining, we have affordable housing, we have all these, social health authority, all these things happening. But the reality is, like now, if you look at the fuel, the petrol, in terms of the cost, so we have to live with the current situation. Yes, as much as the economy is hard, you have to know how can you be able to live within that that situation. So we don't expect maybe petrol prices to go down maybe to 100 or anything. So the best we can do is how do we live within these challenges that are coming at play? How do we live even with this high tax and all that? So this is where now you look keenly at your income and take that first step. And lastly, saving should not be painful. Just that little amount that you can be able to set aside. We have people who even save as little as 50 shillings a day, right? It's just that step. The moment you build the momentum, savings becomes sweet for you.
So savings pia ni tabia.
Yeah, ni tabia. Once you build that culture, you can never depart from it. Yes.
All right, that is Kahoro Ngotho. I'm sorry for butchering your name. That is Kahoro Ngotho, financial and planning expert, taking us through setting financial goals for the year 2025. And Kahoro says you have to live within your means. All right, at this point, we wrap it at that, but up next is seed sowing, which is the process of planting seeds in soil. This segment was done by my colleague Stanley Nyaringite in Kirinyaga County. Take a look.